My glorious plans had been foiled by my cherished neckbeard's worst sins. How could I not have foreseen this hubris? I could definitely use an egg in this trying time.
I offer you a nice egg in this trying time.
Hello friends and welcome back to ReddX, your source for the freshest daily cringe content anywhere on the internet. Promise, swearsies, it's just a fact and it's totally science. Go ahead and look it up. We're also available on all the podcast places, you know, Spotify and iTunes and whatnot. That's pretty cool. Today, we're doing something pretty cool over in r/TalesofNeckbeards, maybe? I think it's r/Neckbeard stories. Whatever it is, it was actually posted in my personal subreddit, r/ReddX reads. It is the continuation of Blood for Oil. I believe it's part number 3. We're getting them out at a relatively slow clip, but I'm trying to savor it. You know what I'm saying? These two neckbeards going into combat, bloodying each other for the entertainment of all of us here. That's the kind of thing that you need to sip slowly. You don't want to overdose on the cringe. You know what I'm saying? So, welcome back to the fold, user Witchfinger84. Always glad to see you. He told me that I need to get into Resist Beard on Discord. I'm like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing real quick. And by my own thing, I mean your thing. And also, he's been posting some creepy pastas in r/ReddX reads, the subreddit. I guess trying to subtly hint that we need to bring Dayton Dies back so I can start recording some creepy pasta content again. And, you know, I think I will. It's been a long time. We'll see if I can keep on the horse. Maybe, you know, 3-4 times a week, something like that. Just short little episodes. And I think that will be a good goal to set. I don't want to get too many plates spinning, which is usually what ends up happening. And then I burn out and disappear. But I always am here on ReddX Reads. So thank you guys for also being here. We're going to go ahead. We're going to get some plugs and disclaimers out of the way. And then we will dive right into some of this Neckbeard stories. Cringe. Blood for Oil. Stormsire strikes back. Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good one. Maybe Rasputin will actually win, which I think I switched guys in the last one, so that would make good sense. As soon as I decide I don't want this guy anymore, he starts winning. I think this is part number 3. Previous links in the description, and maybe even the comments if I did it correctly. So let's jump into it. Good morrow, good gentle sirs and gentle miladies. Oh, we can't forget about the miladies and the gentle thems. Write that one down, Witchfinger. It's time for another disappointing episode. Disappointing episode of Rasputin versus Mujahideen, the cholesterol comrade versus the silver spoon from his dad lad. I have definitely played favorites in this series, and I'm pretty sure it's easy to guess why. One might be socially inept, but at least he's on his grind. At least he's dedicated to doing something for society. So yeah, I can't cheer from the other dude with the silver spoon. I don't like none of that. You work for what you get. Anyways, what's all this about? Well, it's Sunday morning. And I was up very late last night, and my coffee hasn't quite kicked in yet, so I'm too lazy to dig up the links. I'm an adult! I do what I want! Well, that's okay. I'll cover you for now. Like I said, if you want to listen to the previous parts, description and whatnot. Here's a TLDR version. In fair Verona, where we make our play, two neckbeards, much alike in dignity, tear each other down in the most celebrated and horrific gladiatorial arena of neckbeard combat, the tabletop miniature game. Yes, Game of Champions. Let Lady Luck be with me tonight. Yes, there's no conflict more bloody, no war more heinous to human life than two drunk men with a complete lack of social graces, both trying to prove their intellectual superiority in a game of toy soldiers and dice. A true test of skill if one was ever seen. You want to play chess? Nah, Let's just roll some dice and see who comes out on top. Our first contestant, RASPUTIN, is a Russian immigrant. Healthy, chubby boy, a legitimate big brain smartsy smarts guy with a good smart guy job. Good for him. He's my favorite if you couldn't tell. And he's what you would probably consider a more typical, run-of-the-mill example of a sloppy neckbeard. The difference between RASPUTIN and the typical neckbeard is that while most neckbeards aren't actually as smart as they think they are, RASPUTIN actually is a certified Mensa genius and has managed to put his big brain to work creating actual wealth for himself. He's just got to work on some personal life skills, and someday he might even be a real boy. Yeah, we can only hope as much. I got faith in old RASPUTIN. You know, he can't be like this forever, all right? Someday he's gonna meet a lady that'll fix him up, or, I don't know, suck him dry. Both of money and also of, never mind. You know what I'm talking about. The second contestant is Mujahideen, the wacky packy, rent-free or die hard. The haram hero of the Garage Mahal. God damn it. Muja is the complete opposite of RASPUTIN. He's an example of what we here in the ReddX Beard Research Department refer to as the beard on the inside. Outwardly, he could be mistaken on the street for a normal person. On the inside, though, he is a narcissistic, spoiled brat with rich parents, and he binge watches Jordan Peterson lectures and Joe Rogan podcasts. Wasn't Jordan Peterson recently on the Joe Rogan podcast? Doesn't matter to me. Only thing I listen to on Spotify is ReddX, Nerds and Neckbeard Cringe, or whatever I called it. That's definitely the best podcast out there, although I am slightly biased. So yes, he's vaccinated, and no, he will not be getting a booster. He's also functionally illiterate and an alcoholic. I mean, well, he's an alright guy in small doses. When you hang out with him, it's better to go to his place, because that way you can just hop in your car and leave when you've had as much as you can stand, which honestly for me would probably come pretty quickly. I don't know if I want to hang out with this guy for very long at all. He gets drunk, starts talking all that weird conspiratorial shit. All right, where are my keys? I gotta go. It's nice seeing you. Not really, though. The beard science section. Oh, we're doing real science today. This is exciting. We're gonna take a little detour on the side here to talk about the psychology of beard science for those of you who are deeply interested in the topic, which should be all of us here, am I right? After this little lecture, we'll return to our regularly scheduled program of two angry, stinky boys endlessly throwing shade at each other. I mean, that's really the show that we probably all came to see, but we could kick back, we could act like dignitaries for just a minute, can't we? That's just fine. Buckle up, because we're about to discuss actual, real-life behavioral psychology. Buckle your seatbelts, as it were. All right, sirs, my ladies, gentle thems, my thadies. Here's a hypothetical question for all of you. In all the hours and hours that you've done listening to ReddX's Neckbeard TED Talks, why is it that whenever you meet a beard that touts themselves as a great gamer, they just never measure up and end up being one of the most incompetent players at the table? Now, I don't just mean they're bad at socializing in a social game like Linkbeard, for example. I mean like the Dunning-Kruger effect type of stuff. And the Dunning-Kruger effect, if you didn't know, is a cognitive bias whereby people with low ability at a task overestimate their abilities at said task. Here's a chart. It's pretty neat, actually. The more you know about a thing, the more you realize that, oh, Jesus, there's actually a lot to know about that thing. You're not the expert that you thought you were after 2 hours of listening to Jordan Peterson, or whatever. I don't mean to come at Jordan Peterson. I think I said his name 3 times in the episode so far. Now he's gonna like appear in the bathroom mirror and try and lecture me to death, right? Yep, here it goes. So, why do these guys think they're so great at the mathematical and mechanical parts of gaming, even though they almost always, invariably end up being complete garbage at it? I mean, I always assumed it had to do with like protection of their own ego and stuff like that. I didn't actually lose, it's just because there was lag or something. Why does someone who believes, and in some rare cases is even proven to be, an intellectual superior, complete crap at games that are based on math and formulas and logic puzzles? Are all beards really just Dunning-Kruger victims? Is there a reason that despite the fact that Rasputin is a literal genius and Mujahideen is essentially an illiterate alcoholic, that Mujahideen typically beats Rasputin at a game that both of them barely know how to play? How long have they been gathering to play this game that they apparently don't know how to play? Nobody's bothered to teach them? Ah, never mind. They wouldn't listen anyways. It's not just Dunning-Kruger. There is a reason for this, and Witchfinger will explain. Once upon a time, your humble OP was but a marketing copywriter. Oh bro, samesies, and I hated it. Doing all kind of big brain sales psychology to sell you stupid crap that you don't need on the internet. And let me tell you, brother, nobody knows how your decision-making processes work better than people who have to pay their rent by selling you said stupid crap that you don't need. Is that why this channel managed to take off? It was only after I learned how to sell myself that I could run a successful YouTube channel. Maybe I did need to go through all that marketing copywriting crap in order to do this. Perhaps there is a grand plan after all. But okay, this isn't about me. I'm just relating it to myself as I do. A therapist's job is to dig around inside your head and try to explain to you why you keep hitting yourself, with the hope that once you know why, you can correct the thing that is making you hit yourself. Or, as most beards do, use it as a shield to continue hitting yourself, and when people ask why, you're like, oh, it's just because of this thing that I have. It's a hitting myself disease. I can't stop. On the other end of the spectrum, a marketing man's job is to dig around inside your head and understand how to pull the strings on your big dumb lizard brain that makes you want to buy all the shinies. Yes. Our boat erasers are the best boat erasers. So, using my mighty powers of making your retired dad in Florida buy erection pills from weird spam mails, I can explain to you why neckbeards always suck at logical problem-solving games that, on paper, they should actually be pretty good at. Well, I'm excited to hear this. This is some breaking research, some cutting-edge stuff. It works like this. The way a human brain makes decisions is a process that is divided between the logical part of your brain and the emotional part of your brain. Marketing mostly works on the emotional side, doesn't it? Both sides are involved. It's part of the chemistry of your mind. You are scientifically incapable of making a purely logical or purely emotional decision. Both sectors have equal gravity in the process. Equal? Are you sure? I think it heavily leans to one side or the other. Usually the emotional side, considering that we're all basically hairless, scared apes. The logical part of your brain does the analysis of the decision. It weighs the factors, picks the pros and cons, and it presents your ego with a 10-page thesis on the merits or flaws of any given decision. Whereas the emotional part of your brain is the part that pulls the trigger, the part that is the final authority on all decisions. It weighs the evidence presented by your logical brain and, takes the shot based on how it feels. Which sounds a whole lot to me like everything that the logical part of the brain did has just gone out the window. And honestly, it's been proven to myself, at least on an anecdotal basis in practice. I'm like, nah, I don't even really need that video game. But then it goes on sale. I'm like, oh, it's only gonna be on sale for 3 days. I gotta get it. And then guess what? I never even played the stupid thing. But I got it because it's on sale. So I saved money, really. Did you though? It's quite unfortunate that the emotional side of the brain is just so much stronger for most of us than the logical side. In sales psychology, we call this the appeal to emotion. If the last stop of every decision is the emotional mind, then it makes sense to craft a sales pitch that caters to that part of the brain. Every successful sales pitch in the history of modern advertising has appealed to emotion over rational thought. That's why you see fashion ads and car ads with sexy models in them that make you believe that if you buy all their crappy jewelry and shoddily constructed designer clothes and not really worth it fancy cars, then, you know, maybe some hot girls with lip injections and bolt-on titties will fall into your lap.
Hello, how come I rich and you not? You know why? Because I'm smart. I'm smart, you stupid. Call now.
Yeah, in so many words, I guess. At the end of the day, the quality of the fabric, the weight of the diamond, the safety features of the car and how fast it brakes, all these rational factors, they're just excuses that the logical brain plays on itself to make itself agree with the emotional brain once the emotional brain makes the decision. Yeah, see, your logical brain's trying to help out. They don't want you to feel any buyer's remorse. They're like, yeah, we spent way too much for this car, but it brakes really good though. Okay, cool.
Okay, let's see what this baby can do, huh?
You already spent the money, so you might as well try and make yourself feel good about it, I guess. And yeah, that's you. And that's me. And that is every human that is reading or listening to this right now, because that is just how our brains work. No exceptions. So now go to ReddX's merch shop and buy a t-shirt. Hey, shit. I'm liking this more and more. Because it will definitely cause your wang dang doodle to groodle an extra inch, and it'll make you a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the bedroom. And also no refunds. I think you can get a refund. You talk to Teespring about it. But really, please don't refund it. And if you're wang dang doodling, groodling quite right, it's probably because you don't own all the t-shirts, right? You only bought one? There's your problem. You gotta get the whole set, you see? That's how it works. Maybe. Don't quote me on any of this. I'm not trying to get sued. So, okay, running all this back and then wrapping it up with a little bow, what happens when this process is compromised by someone who has an overdeveloped logic sector of their brain, or perhaps someone who has an underdeveloped emotional sector? You know who we're talking about at this point, right? Someone that we would say fits the psychological profile of a neckbeard. Well, they are complete trash at making snap decisions. That's the first casualty. Really, they become complete shit at making all decisions, but the fastest, most decisive, and immediate decisions, they suffer the most severely and immediately. This, scientifically, is why neckbeards struggle with consequences. Okay, so what you're saying is emotional sector of brain good, big stupid lizard brain smart, so buy all game when on sale. Thanks for making me feel better about that, OP. I think we can wrap this post up now. I've heard enough. Tell me no more. This is why every time you meet a supposedly smart neckbeard who's a genius at Dungeons and Dragons or Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, they actually suck at those games, because those are the kinds of games that require a chain of immediate, rapid-fire, snap decisions, and no matter how smart you are, or how well you've done your homework, or what you think you know, if your emotional brain is not strong enough for swift and decisive action, then you simply won't succeed. Hell yeah, bro. I've never been so proud to be not logical. Extra double plus emotional. I make these snap decisions with my channel, and even if it's a horrible thing, I'm like, all right, we're gonna stick it out though. And then the views for the next month dump out, and I'm like, whoops. I guess we learned something, kinda. Despite the fact that Rasputin is actually smart and Mujahideen is an intellectual wasteland of right-wing conspiracy YouTube, Muja does usually beat Rasputin on the table. Because even though Rasputin looks more like he should win on paper because of his big brain mastery of logic puzzles, Muja has a more equitably balanced mind that allows him to be more aggressive and decisive. At least for now. Uh-oh, Rasputin's gonna start taking big boy ball juice or something like that. Yep, he started taking HGH. Got all amped up and hyper aggressive with his logical mind. He's like super smart Hulk. What's that Hulk called? I'm just gonna call him Smart Hulk.
We're good.
So enter the Dread Pageant. All right, everyone. It's back to your regularly scheduled nerd crap. Aw, it was a nice foray into neckbeard science, though. I'm gonna chew on that for a little bit. We'll talk about it more in the Discord, I'm sure. Let's step back into the game. Now, this specific Saturday, New Year's Day 2022, I had a spicy plan in mind for my star-crossed beardos. I was cooking up something special for both Rasputin and Muja. Like special brownies? Probably not that cool. Specifically, it was a new deck for Muja, or as I like to call it, Operation Nasty Pageant. What? Mujahideen had recently come into possession of one of my personal favorite factions in the game of Warhammer Underworlds. That faction is called the Dread Pageant, and they're one of my favorite teams, and also the one that I've probably had the most success with. My Dread Pageant deck was so strong that it was undefeated, and won almost every game that it played in round 2, and I had actually retired it from regular play, and only took it out against opponents that asked me to play it against them. Yeah, I just win so much that it's super boring now. Seems like a weird flex, but okay. Somebody please nerf! It's not fair. Why don't you figure out how to play against it? It has a weakness. Everything has a weakness. So why did I retire the deck? Well, because if I always took my beat the game deck that always won, nobody would have any fun and they'd probably stop playing the game altogether. I don't mean to sound like I'm God's gift to tabletop gaming, because I'm not. And even if you were, that would be about the weirdest thing to flex about ever. Okay, so do you win lots of money? Nah, I just basically beat my friends. Oh, I guess that sounds fine. I mean, you can continue doing that if you want. But he is right. Then you won't have any friends left to play with. But yeah, OP says if you find a secret formula that always works, then you should keep it a secret. Because once you start abusing the hell out of it, it's no fun for anyone who's not in on the secret. And the people who are in on the secret will start abusing it too. Of course, this completely screws up the meta and then everybody quits. If you play for the love of winning instead of the love of the game, you're gonna quickly realize that you're gonna run out of people to play the game with when they get tired of your crap. And then it's just you, alone, in a dark basement, rolling dice against yourself. But hey, I'm still winning, I think. The Dread Pageant are worshippers of Slaanesh, the Prince of Pain and Pleasure. In the Warhammer universe, Slaanesh is the god of excess. Everything Slaanesh does to 11. And that includes heavy metal music, kinky sex, drug abuse, gluttony, torture. Slaanesh is the desire for excessive sensation seeking and the obsessive pursuit of perfection at the cost of everything else. It's a god for narcissists, artists, substance abusers, sex addicts, and rock stars. Slaanesh's demonic minions look like a cross between Cenobites from Hellraiser and sexy succubi. They are angels to some and demons to others. I mean, you had me at heavy metal music, and then kinky sex and drug abuse. I'm like, well, that sounds all right too. Gluttony, yeah, that's neato. Torture, whoops, I'm out. I don't want to do any of that. That's a bridge too far. So the Dread pageant works like this. They're all sadomasochists, and the more everyone on the board gets hurt, the stronger they get. And because they're sadomasochists, when I say everyone on the board, I mean literally everyone on the board. They can even hurt themselves to achieve this goal. They're a bunch of creepy, demonic BDSM freaks, and they get off on giving and receiving. Warhammer's pretty far out there, bro. I don't think there's a single, like, quote-unquote normal army in the Warhammer universe. And that's what makes it so neato. There is no such thing as no king shame, but no king same with the Dread pageant. Your consent is not required. No tears, please. It is a waste of good suffering.
Oh, no tears, please. It's a waste of good suffering.
It sounds pretty silly until you dissect it too far and you're like, oh, that's not good. The way my all-star Dread pageant deck worked was simple. It had cards that were designed to hurt everyone indiscriminately, to gas up those kinky freaks. It also had cards that searched the deck to find those cards that hurt everyone else, so I could get them out and play them as fast as possible. Once those cards were on the table, the box was opened, and Hellraiser was in effect. The gassed up Cenobite creeps then went around, just mopping up the opponent. The pain train had no brakes. So then the way to defend against it would be like preemptive shielding and heals, and then the pain train doesn't start rolling. And guess what? I figured out the way to disassemble the whole army. You're welcome. I'll take my payment in whatever method you can afford. Thanks. As I mentioned before, as guardian of the Dread pageant's ultimate authority in the no fun allowed realm, this wasn't a power that I was eager to give to mortals, much less mortals like Rasputin and Mujahideen, who would only abuse it for the sake of victory at all costs until the game was just not fun anymore. But for the sake of buttering my beard, I would give Muja a taste of the power, just to make it interesting. OP, bro, why you gotta give it to the guy who's winning anyways? Give it to the underdog. Give it to ReddX's favorite guy. Oh, it's because we're betting against each other. I forgot about that. Okay, fine. I guess I'm in it to lose a little more money. Whatever. It's all funny money anyways. More importantly, Muja is just a lazy piece of crap, as has been well established. Just because he owned the team didn't mean that he'd be excited to play it anytime soon, so I had to build all the models and build the deck just to, you know, kick his ass into gear a little bit. Seems like a lot of effort already. So there were a few things that I did differently. First of all, I was going to give him the most important card in the deck. That was the pure power of the Dread pageant, the one that indiscriminately hit every model on the board and hurt them, which caused the Dread pageant to gas up the pain train instantly. However, I wasn't going to give him all the cards that allowed him to find it if he didn't simply draw it. If he wanted to fix the deck so that it actually worked efficiently, as my Master Pageant deck did, then he'd have to do that himself. He's not going to do that himself. I was banking on the fact that he wouldn't because, yeah, like I said, he's a lazy piece of trash. Second, I filled the deck up with crap that fits Muja's playstyle and stuff that he likes. This is where things got fun. Muja is a gambler, a risk taker, so he will always take a shot on a card that does something really big and powerful, but only has a coin flip chance of succeeding. It's just kind of how he rolls. I like it. My nat luck IRL is pretty high too, bro. More importantly, a lot of these coin flip power cards do insane stuff that really screws with your opponent's ability to make decisions, and they change the flow of the game. These coin flip cards can do wacky stuff like steal your opponent's victory points from them, prevent an attack that's about to kill one of your models, cause your opponent's model to punch themselves in the face, or allow one of your guys to instantly punch back against one of the dudes that just punched him. Yeah, counter. You could just say counter. Does it stay in effect for the whole game or just once? That's quite curious. Basically, it was like filling a deck with trap cards in Yu-Gi-Oh! You've activated my trap card.
Sorry to disappoint you, Yugi. Huh? You triggered my trap card!
It might not be the best idea, but no matter what your opponent did, you were always waiting around the corner to spring something on them just to screw with them. It was 100% a deck for trolling, and I imagine Rasputin didn't deal very well with that. And since Muja was a spontaneous improviser that could barely read and played by the seat of his pants, and Rasputin was a meticulous overthinker that had a hard time recovering from having a wrench thrown into his plans, it was the perfect crime. It was like I had snuck under the table and tied their shoelaces together. And really, I do think that they'd enjoy that. They're about, 5 games away from either punching the crap out of each other or kissing each other. I'm not sure how it's gonna go. Also, I forgot to mention I was high when I built his deck. Yeah, that's applicable. Thus, Mujahideen's nasty neckbeard pageant of spicy shit-talking was born. I had just committed the tabletop gaming equivalent of promising MAGABEARD $100 for Bourgeois Beard's poli-sci notes. But it's like in-game, so it's not as heinous necessarily. Nobody's gonna get a hole punched in their drywall, I presume. They might, though. Now I know what you're probably thinking. Why did I mastermind Mujahideen's troll deck, but not Rasputin's? Why was I using my powers to give Muja the advantage? Yeah, that's what I said. The dude's already winning. He don't need no more breaks. He's had enough breaks in life. Help out Rasputin. Well, to tell you the truth, the big reason was because Rasputin didn't need my help. He actually had his own ideas and built his own decks. And because Dread Pageant is one of my favorites to see on the table, I had to give Muja the kick in the ass in order to make it happen. Our twin beards are cosmically star-crossed, you see. Muja can execute, but he can't plan. Rasputin can plan, but he can't execute. Now that I had made all things equal in the realm, we were finally prepared for a showdown of beardy combat. Bum 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 bum. Beardy combat! Bam 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 bam. All right, you get it. Game 1, Muja's nasty pageant versus Rasputin's Stalin fangs. Step right up, place your bets, place your bets. Before our combatants got down to business, we had to have a little bad behavior, of course. Being the communist redistributor of wealth that he was, Rasputin had a bad habit of showing up and not bringing any gifts or food to share with his gracious hosts. Something that Mujahideen, the Sheik al-Kirkland, Caliph al-the Garage Mahal, was always very quick to point out. Especially since Rasputin isn't like hard up for money. You know what I'm saying? This seems double plus crappy, doesn't it? Just show up, eat everybody's food. That's just like Linkbeard too. He's like, hey, thanks for the chips. I can take this whole bag of chips home with me, right? Well, we brought that for everybody. Okay, thanks guys, bye. What a jerk. So this time, acknowledging his sin against social grace, Rasputin showed up with a bottle for everyone to share. The bottle was Barefoot Wine, which is apparently a lower shelf brand of wine. I wouldn't know, I'm not a wine drinker. It's lower shelf, but it tastes alright. It's okay. I'm not a snob. You bring through some $2 chuck, we gonna drink it. It's whatever. Never one to miss an opportunity, Mujahideen launched into the evening scrap talking by looking a gift horse in the mouth. Muja,
What a commie. He finally brings a bottle and he shows up with the cheapest shit.
Rasputin, barefoot is not bottom shelf. Okay, lower bottom. I'm not lower class, I'm lower middle class. All right, but essentially, and no shade there, I grew up lower middle class. I'm still lower middle class, honestly. At least in the States. Philippines, it's a good life. King Solomon interrupts. He is another side character in our saga. He's right, you could have brought Cisco, OP, or in 8-ball a malt liquor. I would have crushed some oldie Muja. I can't believe this guy. He's the poorest rich dude I know. Makes 6 digits and only brings us the cheap crap. Yes, gift horse, mouth, etc. I know you're thirsty and can't afford to buy your own stuff, but would it kill you to just say, hey, thanks? Yeah, it probably would, actually. Sidebar. Later that night, as we left, I told Rasputin that he should screw with Mujahideen next week by bringing a box of Franzia wine. That's a throwback, dude. That's what we used to buy in the Navy from the NX. Nothing but Franzia, bruh. Having set the tone of discourse, we were now ready to play. Before we got into some degenerate stuff, I'd like to take a brief minute for some wholesomeness. Well, thank God for that. Normally, calling Rasputin fat was one of Muja's go-to insults, but on this night, to Muja's credit, he did compliment Rasputin on looking like he had lost a pretty good amount of weight and was looking good. So there were at least a few points of humanity there. Where the hell did that come from? Is it because he brought the wine? This enraged me. I came for the cringe. Let's get back into the action. Rasputin then proceeded to win the board choice and deleted all the goodwill and civility the room had acquired through the sharing of compliments and cheap wine as he hot-dogged the board. And I have no idea what that is. Luckily, OP will explain. In the game of Warhammer Underworlds, each player picks a cardboard map that their team starts on, and they push these maps together to make a complete board. The player that wins the board choice gets to make the strategic decision of how to connect the boards to one another. One of the ways you're allowed to configure the boards is by setting them up long end to long end, which creates the maximum amount of distance between you and your opponents and sets you up for a turtling strategy. We call this hot dogging because it makes the boards look long, like, like a hot dog.
Okay? I'm just saying.
I thought hot dogging was like a showboating term, which doesn't really seem to be Rasputin's style, so I appreciate the explanation. That makes a lot more sense to me. There's just one problem with all this. While hot dogging the boards is a sound strategy for some risk-averse playstyles, it definitely drags the game out, makes it longer, and if one of the players doesn't want to fight their opponents on round 1, they can basically make their opponent spend the entirety of round 1 wading across the board to come and get to them, which of course is just completely wasting everyone's time. Reminds me of like stall tactics in professional play Super Smash Brothers. Do they start getting booed by the audience? Because I think that would feel really good. Just let them know, yes, you can play this way, but there's a reason that we don't play this way. Okay? So in the realm of Warhammer Underworlds, hot dogging, while legal and a strategically viable strategy in some cases, is considered unsportsmanlike. In bird culture, this is considered what is called a dick move.
In bird culture, this is considered a dick move.
All of Rick's moves are dick moves?
That's the scientific terminology for it, I'm pretty sure. Rasputin was infamous for voiding the social contract and constantly hot-dogging the boards at any opportunity for the sake of winning over fun, even when it wasn't necessarily strategically optimal to do so. Oh, he just likes making everybody else miserable is what it is. He's like, you guys hate when I do this? I better not do this again. Just kidding, I did it. Now you're all miserable. I feast upon your pain. So when he hot dogged the boards that night, again, all the goodwill and cheer that had been exchanged in the gifts and the compliments completely evaporated. Finally, we were back to some of that good old high quality cringe. We were very nearly in danger of having a normal human interaction there. Ugh, can't have that. That doesn't make a good story. Like I said, I want to see some bloodshed. The match that followed was hilarious and brutal, if not verbally, then at least mechanically, because Muja was learning a new deck that he hadn't built himself with a team that he hadn't played with before. He was spending a lot of time squinting at his cards and trying to read them in the way that he barely knew how. This was, in fact, a problem that I hadn't anticipated. There were two factors that I had failed to consider when I built Muja's screw-around, trolly, nasty pageant deck. Problem number one, most of the goofy trap cards that Muja loved were reactionary in nature. They required action from the opponent to trigger. Normally this would have been a good idea, but because Rasputin plays so risk-averse and conservative, many of them just become even more difficult to execute. Rasputin was accidentally countering all of my brilliant designs through complete and abject cowardice. I mean, if it works, it works. The best laid plans of orcs and men, or whatever. Problem number two was that although Muja loved his screw you trap cards, they had other significant problems aside from Rasputin's cowardice. Like reading. Trap cards tend to have a lot of text on them that explains what they do, which means Muja, who was already half drunk on Kirkland vodka, had a handful of cards with so many rules next to them that they amounted to more reading in one sitting than he had done in the entire week put together. Oh yeah, we gonna be here all night. At least he brought the Economy Plus brand vodka, and then he's looking the barefoot wine in the mouth. Bro, I would much rather drink barefoot wine than drink Kirkland vodka. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Again, Rasputin, just classy choice. Your gameplay strategy, I can't really sign off on any of that, but outside of the game, I do like him a lot more still. My glorious plans had been foiled by my cherished Neckbeard's worst sins. How could I not have foreseen this hubris? I could definitely use an egg in this trying time.
I offer you a nice egg in this trying time.
Oh my god. With the Sunny reference, I'm dying. Yeah, I mean, take a break, go have an egg if you need. It is a trying time. I'll give you that. Fortunately, the dam did eventually break, because no matter how hard my beards inevitably screwed everything up that they touched, there were some immutable laws of the game. The first was that Rasputin had fatally overestimated the damage output of his team, and they simply didn't have the killing power he needed when he did finally commit his soldiers to the fray. The second was that Dread Pageant is a fast team. All of their soldiers can book it, and if you hide in a corner, they will eventually get to you. Yeah, hiding in a corner doesn't seem like a great battle strategy, honestly. You're safe while you're in the corner, except when they get to you, now you're in the corner. What are you, stupid? Muja was finally able to cross the board and get the nasty pageant and the Stalin Fangs to start exchanging blows. And when the blood started flowing, the pageant gassed up and got spicy. But the last nail in the coffin was one of Muja's trap cards finally kicking off. He managed to win a coin flip long shot on a trap card that caused one of Rasputin's soldiers to turn around and stab his boss in the back, killing him. Whoops! Morale fail. This completely stalled Rasputin's momentum, and after that, it was all over but the crying. Muja.
Another failure. This reminds me of the time you flunked the bar exam. I just beat your ass with a deck that I didn't even know, and I had never even seen it before.
Now, as much as I love your boy ReddX doing the goofy voices for Muja and Rasputin, this specific episode of the Grand Conflict of Beards is going in a different direction. One that's less talky, but no less enjoyable. Oh, bro, are they gonna assault each other? Because I'm all about that too. I don't need to do a voiceover when beards is punching each other. The truth was, I had pre-gamed myself a little on the way to the Garage Mahal and had popped a magical gummy bear when I got in the door. I was a little bit high on that edible happy grass and was not in a state to properly record the Titans in battle. But fortunately, fate would conspire to bring us some good content, so in this episode, instead of focusing on all that crap talk, we're gonna focus on something different but equally delicious, and that is revenge. Get ready for Rasputin's tabletop redemption arc. Oh, blessed. He finally gets to win one. Is ReddX gonna get some of his money back? I've been so in the hole putting all this money on Rasputin, you know, but eventually the turns must table or something. Game 2, The Storm Sire Strikes Back. Oh yeah, that's where the title comes from. Hey, I get it way too late. Now, I mentioned at the start of the story that I was the keeper of the Dread Pageant's darkest secrets, and I kept them under lock and key for the greater good. This was not hyperbole or me taking an ego trip, and in fact, it was foreshadowing for our grand story today. I always left my all-star Dread Pageant deck at home because playing it was like hazing pledges at a frat house. Everybody wanted to make the pledges drink themselves unconscious, but nobody wants to take them to the emergency room to get their stomach pumps after. Ugh. With great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, nobody wants to see the pledges die, bro. Just roll them on their side. They'll be all right. Only the strong survive in this frat house. No, but don't really do that, though. That's inhumane. Fortunately, as every neckbeard scientist knows, a beard scorned is an unstoppable force of nature. Well, unbeknownst to me, Rasputin had not forgotten any of the times a year ago when my Dread Pageant was running a clinic on everyone before I shelved it completely, and defeating it had become Rasputin's white whale. Oh, see, he is hatching plans. I'm so proud of him already in advance. Watch him go. That's my boy, my big fat boy.
Damn, boy, he's thick. Boy, that's a thick-ass boy.
His beard was set on defeating them as proof of his intellectual superiority. And though I had moved on from their reign of terror, Rasputin had not. Which meant that although my highly tuned all-star Dread Pageant still stood a chance, Mooja's half-baked nasty pageant troll deck did not. With the furious focus of a beard on a mission, the cholesterol comrade set to work on polishing his biggest guns. It was hunting season, and the prey was Mujahideen. Rasputin went back through his beardy research and dug up all the notes that he had taken to conquer my Dread Pageant so long ago, and put them in action against a similar but not as severe threat. I'm so proud of Rasputin in advance for braining this one out. You see, there is a chink in the armor. There is something that you can do. Nothing is undefeatable, alright? You just gotta figure out which thread to pull so the whole thing comes apart. Rasputin's secret weapon was the Storm Sire team, a gang of 3 powerful warrior wizards that were perfectly tuned to play into the strengths of Rasputin's weaponized cowardice. They were extremely resilient, they could all cast ranged spells to keep their foes at arm's length, and they turtled like none other until they gassed themselves up with buff spells and went to work. It was a team that felt like it was designed for Rasputin. It fit him like a glove. Rasputin spent about a half an hour tweaking the deck and getting it ready. I've got to give him credit. He came up with a solution. A devious, brilliant, hilarious solution that defied all conventions of beardiness in its creativity. Perhaps, just maybe, Rasputin could be taught. Taught to be better at games? Sure, I guess. Taught to be better socially? Not so sure. After the Osgood saga closed, a lot of the gas came out of that engine. I'm not so sure about all that anymore, but I guess we'll see. His CPU was a neural net processor, a learning computer, and now it was Judgment Day, and the machines would try again. Game 2 started with the unsportsmanlike cowardice that we had come to expect from Rasputin, as the cholesterol comrade promptly won the board roll-off, and once again, true to his character, he hot-dogged those boards to put as much space between the Iron Curtain and the West as he could. Once again, in bird culture, in scientific terms, this is what is considered a dick move. But Rasputin was a beard on a mission, lads, and this time, Rasputin knew one thing about the nasty pageant. If it bleeds, we can kill it. Old Painless was coming out of the bag. Bearded combat! Bum, 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 bum. Oh, I did it again. Ever the communist coward, Rasputin sat in the corner on his home board and made Muja come to him. By now, it was getting late, and the chic Al Kirkland was Costco vodka and a red cup drunk, slurring his speech and promising that he'll embarrass or destroy his foes, or at least himself. But Rasputin was about to prove that the only things that Muja was destroying were his liver and, of course, the English language. He bided his time, upgrading his wizards and gassing them up as he waited for Muja's nasty pageant to walk across the board and come and get him. After completely wasting round 1 on this wild goose chase, Muja was finally in position to execute in round 2. With his soldiers ready to pounce on the outnumbered and outmaneuvered communist conjurers, he dropped the card that he had been sitting on, Shard Gale, the linchpin of the nasty pageant, the card that hurt every soldier on the table, and immediately turned up the nasty pageant and revealed their final form. Once the pain train was gassed up, it'd be all over but the crying. That was until Rasputin's uncharacteristically creative response. See, he learned. All he had to do was sit and observe, and now he knows what do. He had learned his lessons well from the defeat at the hands of my dread pageant, and he had come up with his own risky, ballsy solution that defied all conventions of beardiness. He leaned into the pain, and in response to the nasty pageant Shard Gale, he played the same card that he had put into his own deck. It was a double Shard Gale. Oh yeah, boy. Turning up the heat. He had doubled down on the pain and punishment, and Slanesh would be pleased. Unfortunately, the nasty pageant could in fact have too much of a good thing. The nasty pageant has 4 soldiers on their team. 2 of them are extremely resilient tanks, and the other 2 are fast and dangerous, very weak glass cannons. They simply didn't have the hit points to survive the second Shard Gale, and just like that, half of Muja's nasty pageant went right in the toilet, and he lost a great deal of firepower. Aw, snap, dude. Who could have seen that one coming? Muja's over there, jaw on the floor, Rasputin on the other side of the table, flipping through his notes. This is a beautiful picture to watch unfold. King Solomon and I laughed, very impressed with Rasputin's ballsiness and the sudden but welcome growth of the size of his nuts. Yeah, boy. Watch him go. Muja, on the other hand, was too drunk and illiterate to read the writing on the wall, which was really just a metaphor for his entire life so far anyways. God, that is some massive shade, but also truthy. So this all wasn't exactly news in any way. He responded by playing Momentary Madness, the coin flip trap card that can cause your enemies to turn around and punch each other. Ever lucky, Muja won that 50-50 dice roll, and Rasputin's leader turned around and smacked the hell out of his own buddy with his staff, killing him in his wounded state. Well, The board was now completely even. A Mexican standoff, as it were. Both players were down to 2 severely wounded fighters that all required an equal amount of damage in order to kill. Strategy just didn't matter anymore. Victory was all down to who could stab the other guy first now. It was 100% a matter of luck and the dice. Or at least it would have been if Stormsire wasn't in charge of Rasputin's heroes of the revolution. You see, the Dread pageant is pretty stabby. There was one guy with a bow, but he had died in the storm of Double Down Neckbeard revenge. The last 2 guys were stabby boys. Stormsire and his remaining friend were powerful wizards that had become so gassed up with upgrade cards that they were almost mathematically incapable of failing to cast spells, and they could just set their enemies on fire with mind bullets from 3 hexes away. And so, after a year of torment and torture, Rasputin finally got his revenge on the pageant, at least in one form or another, defeating them soundly with his superior wizard brain. And so it was. Muja conceded at the bottom of round 2 out of 3. The score was 12-2. I'm so proud of you, Rasputin. You really did it, my big little boy. Daddy didn't win all his money back quite yet, so keep on winning, but this is a solid strategy. You watch what happens, figure out why it works, and then you're like, okay, this is what I might be able to do in order to counter it. Yes, this is the basis for all gameplay. Emotional lizard brain, go eat a dick! Now, how do I sell all these games that I bought on sale? You see, that's a callback to where I was talking about it before. Hey! P.S. ReddX, hit me up on the Discord when you go to record this episode. I'll get you the screenshots of the group chat smack talking afterwards. Well, bro, you should put this at the beginning. I'll send you a message. I don't know. Depends when my editor gets this edited and whatnot. If we got time to throw it in, then I will. Quick little text scroll right here. Oh, is it there? Is it not? I don't know. PPS, shameless self-promotion, alright? If you like dumb stories about neckbeards and criminals and jerking off in the corner at the weird sex party, then go listen to my main project, which is a horror story about hot rods and demons. Yes, indeed, I'll throw that down in the description for you. I didn't realize that you was doing the YouTube thing too, and you're more than welcome to plug your stuff on my channel. You brought me these stories to read, alright, I returned the favor for you. Ain't no sweat there. And also, PPS, don't touch your pee-pee at the weird sex party. Duly noted. So yeah, I'm so happy that Rasputin was able to finally get it figured out, get it all flipped around with his big boy brain, and it might also not have helped that Muja was so freaking schlitz that he couldn't form a coherent sentence, let alone a coherent thought. But he did manage to almost even out the tables if, you know, those wizards weren't sitting over there buffing themselves for the entire first round of the game. Analysis is definitely an important thing to do. I mean, as much as I talk about my dumb lizard brain, I do listen to it a fairly often amount, but then I'll also look at YouTube analytics and let the logical side of my brain take over, and I'm like, huh, what works and why? What should we never do again and why? And it's one of those things that you can apply basically anywhere in your life. So I like that. It's like one of them Aesop's fables, except with two drunk neckbeards beating each other up. Aesop ain't never have nothing like this, man. And for good reason. Who in their right mind would read this, aside from myself? I did really enjoy it. I always love Witchfinger's creative writing style. As I said, I never played this game before. I don't know if there is shields and healing and all that type of stuff, but it seems like Rasputin just went the other way. And okay, let's smash them before anything can get started. Focus fire really hard, blow out their glass cannons, and then what are they left with, you know? A fine strategy indeed. And a happy ending for me, because finally Rasputin was able to win something. So let's see in the next story if we can keep it going. Fingers crossed, I suppose. I do hope you enjoyed this story, though. And if you did, friends, I hope that you like, comment, and or subscribe. Maybe share the episode around if you should like. I definitely do appreciate that. We've got all kinds of links in the description, of course, as usual. You got them plugs, playlists, podcasts, as I mentioned at the very beginning. Check it out, you know. There was also a Teespring plug, which I really appreciate. We got mine and my wife's channel, Mr. and Mrs. ReddX, my Amazon affiliate link, which currently goes to my microphone. But if you click through there, buy anything else on Amazon, I get kicked back a percentage, which is pretty nice. You don't pay anything extra. I just get some bonus money. So thank you if you've done that. We've also got my social medias down there, Twitter, Discord, Facebook, easiest way to reach me. I'll probably even answer if I see it. We've also got, what is that? Patreon! Oh, super important, the patrons. My gorgeous, wonderful, beautiful, generous patrons. I'd like to thank them as I do every episode, Jerry much, so thank you! Robert Waits, Camille, Sarah, Jarhead, Jerry, Oorah, Logan Wolf, Conrad Ingy. Hey, Mr. ReddX, sir, did you forget to put my ReddX Industries Spicy Flu Fun Bugs redeemable for 30% of value in per... It gets cut off at the end, I don't know what it says. Oh well, Captain Cloud, Jerry, Hong Kong, Aaron W, Twisted Child, Sarah Wanna Ash, Cinnamon Susie, Frog Lang Sign, Fire Drake, Giggle Jerry, Irary, Ginnixa, Yearage, Different Kiss Nom, at... Maybe I got that. Jari, the Pirate, Silent Revolver, the original Jerry, Jerry's Kitsune, Satori, 211 Jerry, The Return of Jerry, a Jerry of Jubilant Juggly Jerry's, a Justy Draconian Jerry, I got it this time, Aludia Diwadista, Althea Blue, Anunnaki, Arthur Henry, also known as Metal Factor in the comments. We got Assassin Pug Jerry, Bang Bang, Atheist Jerry, he's so euphoric, Aurora Wildheart, Grizzly, Bailey Joy, Bearded Jerry, watch out for that guy, Bitch Gremlin, Blade the Hero, Blameless Fish, Blip Blip Jerry, Blue Dubs, Commander J Tank, Dayton doesn't? How dare you? Dennis Dayton, Dinosaur Nightlight, Disposable Waifu, Dr. Larks, welcome to the fold. Emergent Jewel, Aaron Lennox, Frozen Over Studio, Gypsy, Hadrian BR, have a minty new year, Jerry's. I'm Slim Jerry, yes, I'm the real Jerry, all you other Slim Jerry's are just imitating. Irish Pirate, top of the marn into ya. Itchy Nuts, just scratching, bro. A pimp named J. Crisp, yes, you have to say the whole thing. J.M. Coon, Jennifer Schaefer, Jerry Smith's Barbatus Services. Yeah, I don't know what that means, really. Jerry Blacktail, Jerry Nice, Jerry Evil, Jerry the Small Jerry than the other Jerry's, Jerry the Outlaw Mother Trucker, honk honk. Jerry's a race car driver, but a racer in the blue today, 7 Super and a blue head gasket. Oh, look at that animated GIF profile picture. I didn't know we could do that. That's awesome. John Hero, John Jerry, Jingleheimer Schmidt, Simbufa, Judge Jerry, I am the beard. KJW, Kajow, Crewhee, Miss Monday, Lord Jerryo, leader of the Thunder Jerry's, Milady Dex, still a Jerry, just a boring one. Marble Cake Jerry, Jack and Rule, Melgar the Destroyer, Mr. J, not a fan of Trigger Happy mods. It happens from time to time, the rules are easy enough to follow. Mr. Carrot 797, Mikola Demikiev, Natari, Needless King, he don't need nothing. Nightmare Jerry, Origami Jerry Steve, Patron Say the Chicken Nugget Saint Jerry, Phantom of the Pines, Jerrykins and Jerry Beth, Ramtide Lacrimates, Rose Jerry Miller, TSM Kirby, Sarita the Lolita, Sassy Octopus, Silo Imp, Staples, aka Jerry Yeet, Stephanie Goodner, Synaptic Boomstick, Brilliant Tamago, Teddy the Police, 10-Ton Monster, the Token Trans Queen Jerry, funny name pending. Yeah, we'll workshop it. The one true Fusky. He loves that voice. Tom, what is the Jerry on the inside that counts? Viking Jerry, Will Max, Comrade Mooney, Kira, you're a wizard Jerry, Redwing, Deuces Honk, Jerry, Atrick, Naga Viper, Side Jerry the Cyborg, Saints Blessing, a normal Jerry, a Blueberry's a strong contender, but nip something in the bud, Dingleberries don't count because they're not real berries. A fine point. Hunter of Jerry's devourer of all things tasty. It is Tom, Admiral T-Tank, Amara, an unfortunate nookie survivor. Atomic Jerryzilla, AZ, Babsy Coon, Banished Knight, Barbush because Radiated Jam, Bartender Kirlia, welcome to the fold, Broken Spine Horseradish, by the power of onion smell, Beard, I have the fedora. It's a He-Man reference. Cake Jerry, that's the original different Jerry. California Jerry Girl, hooray! Chevron 7 locked. Corporal Admiral Lieutenant Private General Tiger Princess for Woo Jerry, got it, it's a science. Cryptides, Cuban Jerry, Devon Jerry, Dopamine Dangerous, Electrical Fennec, Ghost of Alpha, Heeknot, HMT Mayor, Holy Berry Jerry, Hydra Jerry Solomon, Scarl Solomon lives on. Jeffrey, Jer Alt of Rivia. Jerry and Tom versus Happy New Year's Webby Apocalypse, Jerry and the Sussy Baka, Jerry's mom has got it going on. Jerry Oldo Rivera, you check out that mustache. Jerry Bean, yum. Jerry Rock says, yay. Jerry's STI still tracing a transit van that was rumored to contain a shipment of baubles. We gonna get him yet? Jerry role-playing game, Judge Jerry and Executioner, Kid Marvelous, Killing Owl, King Tom, Kitsykin Life of Guardian Little and Once, Lucia Lovecraft, Chia, CD. Maybe next time, Milkfed Gimp, Miss Duchess, not Invisible Angel, I see you. One Lake Jerry found a key is some pancakes. Now with Sue and IHOP. Organic Cam, Ghosty, Raptor Art, she's my Jerry Pie, go drink a Mandu on a bad surprise, Sheep Steve, Snary, that Snom Jerry, Spoonie the Rogue, Spooky, Scary Jerry Tons is relevant all year round. My voice is cracking. Oh no, Steampunk Ellie, Techno Dubs, the Gaslighting Jerry, why do you keep calling me Terry? I'm losing my mind. The Necro Jerry Con, the original Jerry, not, to Infinite Jerry and beyond, definitely. Tuna Fish Jerry managed to escape from Admiral Tom's Tuna Cannery. The next challenge, exfiltrating Neckbeard Row. Tom promised Jerry swears, oh, no bad Jerry, Tom be good boy. But those swears just fake. So he says go look it up by it. I mean, another ReddX video. Thanks so much. And also thank you to my $1 patrons. Beautiful people that they are. And I will give a fresh reading of the Patreon list relatively soon. It's the end of the month right now, so payments are getting processed. It's looking pretty weird at the moment. We'll see who remains, I think on the 3rd or 4th. So thank you guys, everybody who has donated on that Patreon. Really, really important stuff, especially in January and February, as ad rates are not looking too good. But I appreciate you guys helping me to stay afloat and do the thing that I love to do, which is bringing you to cringe. As I always say, if more people want to sign up, hey, thank you in advance. If you can't do it, though, don't sweat it too hard, friends. I just appreciate you coming on through, hanging out with me, and I hope you come on back and hang out with me again tomorrow. In order to do so, you need to keep yourself safe out there, wash your hands, but also take some time out and do something that you personally enjoy today. Maybe like watch some more ReddX videos, please. Always remember, friends, that you are loved, you are worthy, and you definitely deserve it. I shall see you in the next one, and until then, friends, bye-bye.